just talk to us about the significance of, could we call it a breakthrough here in mRNA technology?
Yeah, I think it's actually two breakthroughs. One for mRNA technology, because we have not seen in a large stage trial an mRNA-based therapy succeed in cancer. And it's also a breakthrough when it comes to personalized cancer vaccines in general. That's something people have been trying to work towards for decades. The idea has been around for literally more than a century, but biotech companies have been working on it for several decades. And so to have a late stage trial offer concrete evidence that this idea of using our own immune system, priming it in order to fight cancer itself works is a big deal.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I feel like, Lisa, we've been talking about this for a while, right? And really utilizing the body to figure out how to fight serious diseases, or whether it's cancer. I mean, a big step forward. What else has to be done, though? Because there was so much investor enthusiasm this week over it, especially in particular for Moderna.
Yeah, I mean, I think step one is for all of us to see the full results from this study. So we're going to want to see the details to understand the magnitude of the benefit. But I think the much bigger deal is that melanoma, though this is a huge advance, melanoma is kind of considered a low-hanging fruit when it comes to cancer. Skin cancers have a lot of mutations that make it easier for immune cells to see them. And so we want to know that this is going to work outside of that. And certainly Merck and Moderna have a number of trials going in lung cancer, bladder cancer, kidney cancer to prove that that's possible. But, we're going to have to wait for the readouts to know, whether this is a broadly applicable advance.
And okay, remind us the results that we've gotten so far about the efficacy, because, I guess we're just not used to hearing about vaccines as a treatment for something.
Yeah, so I think one thing that can be hard to wrap our mind around is that with the vaccine, you're actually at this stage trying to keep the cancer from coming back. So you're teaching your immune system not just to beat down the cancer right now, but far into the future, so that it kind of recognizes what a cancer cell looks like. So we don't have the numbers on this phase 3 trial, but we do have numbers from a smaller phase 2 trial that was long lasting. It looked out over 5 years and showed that for both recurrence of cancer and for these distant metastases, so the cancer spreading to other parts of the body, it was an improvement of 49% over Keytruda, which is Merck's very effective cancer immunotherapy on its own. So that's a very big advance. And I'll just note, as I did in my column, that Keytruda had already really changed the paradigm when it came to melanoma. And so to do better than that by this much is why people are so excited.
Yeah, I think about, we've learned so much in terms of how to dealing with problems or with the heart, right? But cancer continues to be a really tricky healthcare problem. I mean, there's Alzheimer's, there's other things too as well. But I just think about it because cancer can impact people differently, right? And bodies can impact it. I've seen people with stage 3 or stage 4 who come back, and then there are others who don't. So it's just interesting. But this idea of kind of personalizing, but it is still also, what's interesting is it's a double treatment, right? I mean, that's what's interesting as well.
Right. I mean, I think one of the things that we have an advantage here is that you can really personalize this, and Merck and Moderna are doing that. So they take a patient's own tumor and they sequence it, and then they use AI to find the mutations that are probably the most likely driving their cancer and for our immune system to respond to. And the idea is just like when we get a regular vaccine, that it's gonna combat the cancer now, which the Keytruda is helping, but that also it's giving our immune cells these kind of mug shots, when the enemy comes back, that we want to shut down, and that it can roar into action, which has really been difficult. We have a lot of treatments that work very well in the short term, but aren't curative, aren't giving people a lot of years where they're not anxious about, a recurrence, which is difficult.
Right, recurrence or spreading elsewhere. So, right, if you could shut it down, you think about what that would do for people's outlook and their ability to survive this much longer term.
Yeah, and I think even just their quality of life, being
Yeah.
able to make decisions in the longer term without having that kind of constant worry. We have to see the data, we have to know how long it's lasting. But I think this is so exciting because it changes the way that we treat cancer, and it could really be meaningful for a lot of people, especially if it works outside of melanoma. And that is not to diminish the accomplishment in melanoma, which does affect,
Yeah.
over 100,000 people in the US each year.
So what else do we need to watch for? I feel like a lot of times in biotech and pharma, different companies start racing and competing. Are there other companies trying to do what Moderna is doing right now?
Yeah, I mean, BioNTech, which is the other company that we all came to know during COVID because they had partnered with Pfizer on their vaccine. They've been working on this, like Merck, since before the pandemic. We've got smaller companies that are working on it as well. I think one thing that we really should be advocating for at this point is more investment. I mean, this should be encouraging us to go all in because we know that it's a concept that finally has been proven. There has been some cutbacks when it comes to research in mRNA. And so I think, trying to really put the foot on the pedal, um, so that we can get to a place where these are reality. Now, I'll just say too, like these trials, these late stage trials take time. I think we're going to see some more readouts coming up in other types of cancers that will give us the first hint of, what our expectations should be when it comes to mRNA vaccines potential in treating cancer broadly.
Yeah, and I think about some of those tricky cancers, having had pancreatic in my family, my husband's family. I mean, it's a terrible cancer, and maybe this provides a way of really tackling that one, because really once it is diagnosed, there's not a lot of hope for the individuals. One of the things I want to ask you though, Lisa, before we wrap up here, you end the story saying the other question hanging over this otherwise good news is whether it will convince the many medical science skeptics and conspiracy theorists that messenger RNA isn't so nefarious after all. We saw that coming out of COVID, right? About, oh wait, is this going to alter your genetic material? And there are other things that came out of it. Just remind us, and does something like this maybe change how the scientific community and the community overall look at messenger RNA?
I mean, I certainly hope so. It's a fleeting effect in our body. It's a vaccine. It's showing you something in the short term. It's not changing your DNA. And so I hope it's convincing. And who can tell? But I hope that the people that were very worried, and the skeptics and conspiracy theorists who may have a family member that really could benefit from something like this, open their minds a little bit and see that it's a technology we're supporting. We really need to make the investment.
Yeah, it does feel like, I don't know, it does feel like a breakthrough, right? In a lot of different ways. And I'm excited to kind of see where the research goes from here. Lisa, thanks so much. I'm glad we could bring everybody your column, especially after a week where we saw certainly investors taking note of this move from Moderna.